When researching for example of solid patterns in Laravel, I didn't find many examples of open source projects, but I did find many examples of Laravel or PHP packages, because packages and framework in general, Laravel framework, is something that needs to be reusable, maintainable, and you cannot predict how it would be used by consumers of those packages. So you need to make that solid with patterns and interfaces. And one example of that is well-known package Spotty Laravel Media Library, responsible for uploading files. Not uploading directly, but more like associating the files with eloquent models. And I will show you how it implements solid patterns within its code in the package. So if we go to source folder of that package, so I went to vendor Spotty Laravel Media Library source, this is where we need to look. Interface has media. And actually a better way to explain it is official documentation and preparing your model, basically the basics of how you use that package. In your eloquent model, you need to add two things: has media and interacts with media. And one of those is interface, another is trait. So implements has media, so your eloquent model needs to implement that has media interface, and that interface defines the rules of what that model should contain, what methods. So relationship to media, which is by default media table with polymorphic relations, and then add media, copy media, has media, get media, stuff like that. So you would need to implement those in your eloquent model. And this is where the second part of the usage comes in. Interacts with media is a trait that has all the default behavior of that methods, all the implementation. So interacts with media is a trait with a lot of stuff under the hood, but actually it implements, so for example, media implements the relationship with config, because you can configure how the table would be called, then add media, then also more methods which are unrelated to the interface, but the trait has more, add media from something, from media library, from somewhere. Then if we scroll down, we have copy media, we have has media, we have get media. So exactly the things that are defined as rules in the interface in here. And the best way to describe that is letter O of solid principles, which is open closed principle. So the interface is closed for modification. You cannot edit interface. You have the strict rules of what methods you need to implement. It may be more, but this is the minimum. But then it's open for extension, and that trait exactly extends that interface with more methods. And since it is trait in your eloquent model, wherever you add that trait here, you can override those methods with your own. So you can define your own has media, you can define your own get media and stuff like that. So you can extend that set of rules set by interface with your own code. And also you may find a lot of examples of L letter, list of substitution principle, because everything is type hinted, there are returns, there are parameters for IDs, so everything has structure, rules, and you won't really get around those rules. It's pretty strict, and you would be able to replace that trait, for example, methods, with your own get media if it obeys the rules of those parameters and those return results. And another example of solid pattern I found inside of Laravel Media Library is letter I for interface segregation, which actually comes from Laravel itself, from the framework. So I found a model called Media, the main model of the whole package, and it implements two interfaces, responsible and HTMLable. Those both come from Laravel framework itself, from Illuminate contracts, and responsible is responsible to response, so create that media as a response, and HTMLable means that you can return that as HTML, as string. Not sure how it works exactly in the media library, but there are two separate interfaces. It's not like Laravelable or returnable or something like that. Two different interfaces, each for their own cause.